Welcome back to another episode of Random Witchcraft. I'm your host, Callie, and I'm sorry that we haven't uploaded in a bit. I ended up going to a wedding and immediately got sick right afterwards. And, well, our poor little vixen has been working hard for that money. But today's episode, we are getting into a bit of cord magic and how it intertwines with so many different cultures. It has so many different meanings for people, but it also intertwines with the fact that cord magic ends up being a huge factor with color magic. And some of the ways that cord magic was used was with hand fasting. This is why we end up having, the phrase cutting the cord. Because you would end up, creating a cord for your new relationship, or when you got married and you made your cords for hand fasting, you'd have to create another cord for cutting the cord so you can separate from that person. So your energy goes back to you and their energy goes back to them. Now, that also, it comes a time in phases in the moon when you're supposed to end up either tying, your knots and cords, or when you're wanting to let something go, cutting the cord. You would end up cutting the cord on a new moon because you're trying to let things go. You want to be prosperous and bring stuff to you. Like if you're making a cord to, let's say, attract lover, you would end up doing it on a full moon. Even if you're making a money cord too, you would do that on a full moon. Some of the other cords that are made is a witch's cord, which is a 3-strand cord. Usually the colors are white, red, and black. Your intention for this cord should always be with the thought of, I call on the ancestors, the goddess and the god, and the powers of the elementals to bless this cord. And then you would tie the cord that you just made in one or more knots around your waist. Now, cords usually end up having different meanings and different numbers that you'd end up having with the cord on what was the reason why you have 9 strands in a cord. And there are 2 different ways that a cord is made, or the shape of the twist that you would end up making, which is an S or a Z twist. And there were specific measurements when making your cord. Your measurements for an inch would be the width of your thumb. A hand or a palm would be the width of your palm. A span is the length of your hand from wrist to the end of your middle finger. A foot is the length of the foot from the heel to the end of the big toe. A cubit is the length of the forearm from the elbow to the end of the middle finger. A yard is the length measured from the nose to the middle fingertip of an outstretched arm. A fathom is the length of the outstretched arms from one middle finger to the other. So basically, when back then they would tell you, give me an inch of cord. It would be exactly 1 inch. A hand is 4, a span is 9, a foot is 12, a cubit is 18, a yard 36, and a fathom is 72, which is 6 feet. Now, traditional hand fasting cords, they would end up making it a cubit to be 18 inches. Now, when you would be making these hand fasting cords, they would tell you how to, between the newlyweds or fiancés, of the direction of the energy that they're going to end up twisting it. Now, depending, twisting with 2 people, twisting the cord with another person, the first way and the quickest way is the S-hook. Meaning you guys swap the cords between each other. The other way is the 3-person cord, which would be the high priestess that is marrying you, and the husband and wife would end up making the cord together, and it would be the Z shape. They would end up handing the cords back and forth in between them in a Z formation. But as you are twisting these cords and putting in the energy, sending out energy, the twist thread is to the right, away from you, and say, I send this energy out to the world. And you can say this once, you start the twist, and repeat until you complete the twist. Keeping the energy for yourself, like you would keep the energy between the marriage, you would twist the thread to the left. And you would say, this energy circles me and protects me and mine, until you ended the twist. And then you would end up getting into, well, the strands of cord. You have one strand is for leader, which you would end up using for yourself, but it does have a flaw. The energy that you're putting into the cord is the leader. You're going to get things done, but you may end up having the slight flaw of being arrogant about everything. 2 is a helpmate. You get along with everybody. And the flaw is you kind of let yourself get dominated. 3 is creative, artistic, entertaining, but very scattered. 4 is a builder. Solidly responsible. Rigid. Nobody likes a party pooper. 5 is an adventure. Open up to new experiences, but is easily addicted. It's an addiction for you. Will never settle. Hence, free spirits. 6 are peacemakers. Are nurturing, kind, but overcommit is the flaw. 7 strands is a thinker, a seeker of truth, but very critical is the flaw. 8 is a visionary, generous, and ambitious, but shuts out everyone. And 9 is sensitive, cares about the world, but is very unforgiving. They're the ones that hold the grudges. But then there's, where you ending up getting to where, do I want to add any jewelry, or let's say adding a pendant to the cord? You could do that. That is no problem. There's already kits that you can get, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, that let you add pendants. Or if you're good at cord making, you'll end up making a little basket, or you know how to weave. Even crocheting is also cord making. Yes. Crocheting leads into very much cord making. It's hand in hand. You will also, another cord that you'd have is a sabbat cord. Sabbat cords are usually 4 or 8, depending. And this would be for your own personal family that you would make, so the year would come out according how you want. It just depends on your intentions. The knots, you would say, the power of the Sabbath is captured here. When you want the power in your life, untie the knot and say, the power of the Sabbath is present now. If you haven't untied the knot by the same Sabbath following year, untie the knot and say, the power of the Sabbath is released. Because we're not greedy. We like to, send the energy back out, because you never know, someone else might need it. But now we're going to get into a bit of the colors that you normally see in cords, which is red. Red is usually dawning of life, or attracting attention, or stopping someone from giving you attention. Orange is usually a color of excitement. It means you're seeking adventure. You're trying to be out there. Now, it all depends what colors you want to use, or you can make your own colors. It's endless. Yellow is the color of sunlight, bringing you out of the shadows, expelling any negativity out of your life. Green is for healing, covered in wealth, or just simply asking Mother Nature to come and bring you that abundance of food. It all depends on what energy you put in. What are your intentions with these colors? Blue is depending on the blue. Whether you go dark blue, will ward off negativity. Or if you light blue, will bring you peace. And then you end up having, alert. You have your purple, which oddly represented royalty back then, but also represented love. And then you have black and white, which is your duality, because you can't have one without the other. And it's all about that duality, let's be honest. Now, if you're going to go with planetary colors, you have moon, which is white, silver, or lavender. Mercury is orange. Venus is green. The sun is yellow. Mars is red. Jupiter is blue. And Saturn is black. Now, if you're wanting to, get your cotton or yarn and dye it naturally with plants and whatnot, you would end up using you'd end up using like beets for red or purple. And for greens, you would end up using green and yellow dye, for example, is indigo and weed or cabbage and turmeric. For purple, it would be red cabbage, blueberries, blackberries, and elderberries. For yellow, it would be bloom, wild, saffron, or turmeric. Indigo, for blue is indigo or ward. For brown is black walnut and onion skins. Orange is madder. And red is beets or madder. And you would end up having those. Now, there's a lot of controversy on cords. Some people feel that it's not really your cord or the intention's done right if you're going the traditional style of, someone has to gift you the cord that has blessed it with good intentions for you, or you make your cord. Other people go, why am I going to spend so much money when someone else can make it for me? It doesn't matter which side you land on, as long as you are comfortable with what's going on. Now, a lot of people end up wondering, well, how do I use my cord? What is the purpose of a cord? The purpose of a cord is for many different reasons. You can make it a protection, health, prosperity, love, or a spiritual observation or absorption. Now, you can end up, let's say you have, in any of those categories, it can be personal, cords for the family and friends. You can even make a cord for your pet. Love magic cords, commitment cords, releasing of a commitment cord, which is, cutting the cord. Now, for protection, you have personal safety, and you would end up in this. Personal safety would land as the cord would be protecting you from injury, attack, or misfortune. Protection for your physical space, burglary, vandalism, or even just your mental health. You would end up first, what is the outcome that you want this cord to be? The purpose phrase that you would come up with. The second phase of the cord. The number of strands, that's up to you. And the fiber. Usually the fiber is good for is cotton or leather for protection. A health one, you'd end up, I am healthy and I will remain healthy as your intention. Or, I am healthy and I will live a long life until I choose to leave. It just depends. Or, some people want to become pregnant. I will become pregnant when I wish. It just depends on what you want on the health cord. Some ended up having to do a health cord for restful sleep. And the restful sleep cord is like, I will fall asleep immediately and my sleep will be deep and peaceful. The colors that you need for this restful sleep cord would be a light blue, lavender, and white. Now, let's be honest, mental health is a big one. And sometimes we can end up making this for the intentions of others who may need it. And you say the person's name will receive the care he or she needs, and the colors that she will need will be green, blue, and lavender. And add a rose quartz for a bit of love, or some tiger's eye to repel that negativity away. Now, then you have your prosperity. Now this one, for all of my people that want to end up bringing that money and keeping it in your wallet, you would need a dark green, dark blue, and red cord. You will end up attracting and keeping money as your intention thoughts. And you will say, the money I need comes to me. My money stays with me. That's the intention that you will be having as you're making your cord. Now, if you're making it for somebody else, you would say, money comes to, and you say their name. And you say, money stays with, and you say their name again. And it's just basically like, hey, here's a little bit. Like, this is what you need. And you're going to end up, and for somebody that's trying to find a good job, the cord colors that you would need are orange, yellow, and blue. I will land the right job for me. Or, if you're making it for someone else, the name of the person lands the right job for them. Just let's thinking of that. When you're making a cord for somebody else, you have to keep your words positive. Have that mindset positive. Have that mindset of whoever you're giving this cord to will open their minds up and their hearts to receive those blessings. And then the other purpose that we have for making a cord, love. Because sometimes you just need to love your damn self. Because, hey, we're not all perfect. You'll end up saying, when you make your cord for yourself for love, it would be purple, white, and green on the cord. You will say, if it's for yourself, I am open to love. I am open to giving myself the love I need. And then you're making it for somebody else. You name their name. They will be open to love and loving themselves. Now, let's just get a little bit. Want to have that active sex life? You would need that purple, that red, and orange. And you will say, I will have an active sex life. I accept the pleasure. I know what gives me pleasure. And clearly concentrate on the positivity and what you want. I will find the right partner to give me that. Just a little, throwing it out there. Why not? Because, we all need a little D in our life. Vitamin D, that is. Vitamin D, yeah. And the last one is for spirits. If you're trying to get your spiritual connection back, the cords are all 9 colors with black and white in them. And you say, I will receive the knowledge that comes to me and understand from the past and grow from my mistakes. Now, if you're trying to find more people like you, I am surrounded by friends who support my spiritual path, but I want to find more who are like-minded. Now, like I said, crocheting and knitting, even using a loom, falls into the cord magic. Now, in knitting and crocheting, the number of stitches in a row in a chain, the number of rows and chains, and the number of inches wide and long finished piece, and the number of colors are all representative of a cord. And in weaving, it's the number of wraps and threads and inches wide. But it all just depends on how you want to do it. Again, we really emphasize it's the way you want to do it. It's your magic. It's your intention. But try to keep your intentions light and wanting to grow from everything. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, evening, or whatever time you're listening to me. And well, we'll catch you guys later on the next episode. Bye!
Just one more thing before we sign off for the day. If you would like to send us any comments, concerns, or any questions, or if you would like to support this podcast, or for any future endeavors, click the links below. Thank you.